Good afternoon, dear students. See, in the last class, we have started the second chapter in the second module, that is data mining. Okay, we have seen what is data mining and then what is knowledge discovery in the databases. Okay, and then we have seen what are the motivating challenges for using the data mining for data analysis. Okay, so now coming to the next topic, that is data mining task. Okay, so what exactly we will be performing in data mining? What are the different kinds of tasks or the operations that we will be performing in data mining? So that we will study in this topic. See, while explaining the that is KDD process, say I mentioned that data mining is one of the integral part of that is KDD process. So it is a second step after that is data pre-processing. Okay, so data mining, it is going to extract the useful information from the large data repository. Novel and the useful patterns will be extracted with the help of data mining. So this data mining is one of the integral part of this KDD process. Okay, so now how we are going to extract the useful patterns? So what are the operations we have got? Okay, in order to extract the patterns here. So that we will study in the data mining task here. See here, broadly, we are going to classify the data mining task into two categories here. One is the predictive task and second one is descriptive task. See, in general, data mining tasks are divided into two categories here. Mainly, we have got two kinds of tasks here. So, first category of task is predictive task and second one is descriptive task. Okay. So now see here, as the name says, predictive task. So in case of predictive task, we will be predicting the value of one of the attribute here based on the values of other attributes. Okay, so we'll be having some sets of attributes. Using those values of the attributes, we will be able to predict the values of other attributes. So that will be done in the predictive task. So the main objective of the predictive task is we want to predict the value of the particular attribute here based on the values of other attributes. So that is nothing but prediction. So I'll give you one example later. See, okay, while explaining the next topic. See, just remember this one. In case of predictive task, we will be predicting the value of the particular attribute here based on the values of other attributes. Okay. So now here, see the attribute which you are predicting here, that will be called as target or dependent variable. See which attribute value we are predicting, that is called as a target or dependent variable, and the attributes which you are using for making the prediction, see such attribute is called as explanatory or independent variable. So the attribute value whose value you are predicting, so that attribute is called as a target or dependent variable, and the attributes which you are using for making the prediction here. See already available attributes which I'm using for making the prediction. See those attributes are called as explanatory or independent variable. Okay, so this is about the predictive task. Just remember here, so in case of predictive task, we will be predicting the value of the attribute here based on the values of other attributes. Okay, and the attributes which you are predicting, see those attributes are called as target attributes or the dependent attributes, and the attributes which are used for making the prediction, those are called as explanatory or independent variables. Okay, so this is about the predictive task. Now coming to the descriptive task. See, in case of descriptive tasks, my main objective is I want to find some of the patterns here. See, in detail about these topics, that is correlation, trends, clusters. See, all these topics, see, we'll study in the coming modules. Okay, just try to understand this concept. Descriptive task, see, it will be used to derive the patterns here. See, what is the use of deriving those patterns? See, if we use these patterns, we will be able to understand what is the relationship that exists in the data. See, for that purpose, we will be finding the patterns here. In order to find the relationship that is hidden in the data, we'll be finding some of the patterns here. So those patterns can be found with the help of descriptive task. So the main objective in the descriptive task is I want to find or derive some of the patterns here. See, patterns can be either in the form of correlations. See, correlations are nothing but frequent items. So I'll give you one example later, you'll understand it. See, frequent items, see, such items are called as correlations here, and then we'll be having some of the trends and then clusters and then trajectories and then anomalies. See, all these patterns, they are going to specify what is the kind of relationship that exists in the data. See, that we can find with the help of descriptive task here. So in case of predictive task, we'll be predicting the values of the attributes. In case of descriptive task, see, the main objective is I want to find some of the patterns here. Okay. So now coming to what are the four main that is core data mining task here. So see here, see it has been highlighted. See, we have got total 4 tasks here. So one is that is predictive modeling. Okay, so then we have got the cluster analysis, and then we have got the association analysis, and then anomaly detection. See, these are the 4 core data mining tasks here. So one is predictive modeling, and then second one is cluster analysis, third one is association analysis, and then anomaly detection. So in detail, I will explain them now. Okay, so see here, in case of predictive modeling, see, modeling means building the model here. So what is your task here? You will be building a model. So for what purpose you will be building the model here? See, the model will be built mainly for the target variable here. So as I explained in the predictive task, see, my main aim is I want to predict the value of a variable here or the attribute value based on the values of other attributes. So that will be done in the predictive task. So here also, in case of predictive modeling, see, I will be building a model for the target variable. See, target variable is nothing but it is a variable whose value I want to predict. That is a target variable. So for that target variable, we'll be building a model here. See, as a function of the explanatory variable or independent variable. So explanatory variable is already available attribute values of the variables here, which I will be using to predict the value of a target variable. So this predictive modeling, it is going to build a model here for the target variable as a function of explanatory variable. So see here in this target, that is predictive modeling, we have got two different kinds of that is models here or the task here. One is classification and second one is regression. See, again in this predictive modeling, see, we have got two different types of tasks here. One is classification and regression. See, remember this one, classification is used for discrete target variables. So discrete target variables means, say for example, 0, 1, 2, 3, or if you consider the binary numbers, only zeros and ones. So such values comes under that is classification task. Suppose if you're building a model to predict the discrete target variables, so I need to use a classification. So I'll give one example. See, for example, see, you got your online bookstore. Okay, so one web user, he is going to arrive and you want to predict whether that person is going to buy a book at your store or not. Okay, so such task, see, it can be described by two output values here. Either it will be 0 or 1. That is binary value. Whether he is going to buy that book, if he buys that book, then that value will be considered as 1. If he doesn't buy the book, then that value will be considered as 0. So you will be able to tell the value of prediction here in terms of zeros or ones. So that is a binary classification, or here the target variable has got the binary value. So such tasks, they come under classification. See, in detail about classification, we'll study in the fourth module. Don't bother much now. See, classification is used whenever you have got the target variable which has got discrete values. So discrete values are normally in terms of whole integers. Say 0, 1, 2, and so on 10. Okay, so all these are discrete values here. So suppose if we consider the binary values, see, there will be only two possibilities for the attributes here, either 0 or 1. So one example is, suppose if you are predicting whether a new web user, he will make a purchase of book at your that is online bookstore. So you'll be able to tell the output of this prediction either in terms of zeros or ones. So zeros and ones is, suppose if he buys the book, then that will be considered as 1. If he doesn't buy the book, then that will be considered as 0. So here the target variable has got the that is binary values. And second one is regression. Okay, so regression will be used whenever you have got the continuous target variables. So continuous target variables means, see, apart from integers, see, we will be having given floating point values also. So suppose if your target variable, if it has got a that is mix of integers and floating point values. So then I can use the regression task. Okay. So for example, see, you might have observed in the share market, see the stock of a price, see it will be having continuous value. You can't say that say stock will be just a whole number. For example, suppose if it is 100 today, it may either reach 100.5, 0.8, 0.9. So it has got a mixed values here, integer and floating point values. Okay, so this task, it can be used to predict the future price of a stock here, because this future price of a stock, it will be a continuous value here. It will be having both the integer and the floating point values. So here, in case of predictive modeling, say we will be building a model here for the target variable as a function of explanatory variables here. So in this, we have got two different kinds of that is predictive modeling. One is classification and second one is regression. See, classification will be used whenever you got discrete target variables. So discrete in the sense integer values. If you got the integer values of the target variable, then we can use the classification. And second one is regression. Regression will be used whenever the target variable is continuous. Continuous means it is a mixture of both the integer values and the floating point values. So now coming to what are the applications of predictive modeling, where we are going to use this predictive modeling then. See here, predictive modeling, see it is used to identify the customers who will be responding to a marketing campaign. So marketing campaign is nothing but promoting your product. See how many users are that is responding to your that is campaign management or the promotions. In order to find that, we can use this predictive modeling. And also, say if you want to predict the disturbances in the earth ecosystem. Okay, so suppose in the earth ecosystem, if there are any of the disturbances occurred due to variation of the temperature and the pressure, so in order to predict that, we can use that. Or in order to judge whether a patient has a particular disease, okay, based on the result of medical test. See, the doctors in the health field, see, they will be predicting whether a person or a patient, he has got a disease based on what? They will be predicting that based on the result of the test which has been conducted. See, these are the applications of predictive modeling. So predictive modeling, it will be used to identify the customers, see whether they will be responding to a marketing campaign or not. Okay, so if you're promoting your products online, see how many customers are responding to that. In order to find that, we can use that. And even in case of earth ecosystems, in order to predict any of the disturbances in that, so we can use this predictive modeling. Or even, see, whenever a patient, if you suppose if there are any symptoms, see, if you want to predict the whether that patient has got a particular disease based on the medical test, then also we can use this predictive modeling. Okay, so I will give you one example here, one example of a prediction. See, in this example, we want to predict the species of a flower. See, flower is iris flower. See, you might have seen the iris flower in the garden. Okay, so I want to predict the what is the kind of species of that iris flower I want to find. So to which category of flowers that flower belongs to. Okay, so here, see, we have got three different species of iris flower here. One is setosa, and second one is versicolor, and third one is virginica. See, these are the three different kinds of iris flowers here. Okay, so I want to find if you have got any of the flower, so I want to determine or find to which species it belongs. Okay, so see here, so my task here is I have got a data set here. Okay, and I have got one flower. Say I want to find to which species this given flower belongs. Okay, so in this data set, okay, I got many of the characteristics of the flower. Okay, so mainly it contains that is four attributes here. See, I got one data set here. That data set contains many of the features of the flower here. So in that, we have got total four attributes here. So attributes are that is sepal length, and then sepal width, petal length, and then petal width. These are the four attributes which are present in the data set. See, using the values of this given data set, I want to check whether the given flower is whether it is setosa or versicolor or virginica. Okay, so I got a data set here. That data set contains the 4 attributes here. Okay, one is sepal width and then sepal length, petal width and petal length. Okay. So now I have to predict to which species this flower belongs. So see here, see if you look at this graph, okay, so we have categorized the species of the flower based on some of the attributes here. See, we have plotted 2 attributes here, petal width and then petal length. Okay, so we have considered out of 4 attributes here, we have considered 2 attributes here. So one is petal width and second one is petal length. Okay, so now see here how we are going to group the flowers here. So if you look at the values of these petal length and then petal width, see petal width has been divided into 3 different values here. So one is that is low. Okay, so this one 0 to 0.75, this is low, and this 0.75 to 1.5, that is medium. Okay, sorry, 1.75, that is medium. Okay, then 1.75 to infinity, that is high. So petal width has been divided into 3 values here. See, 0 to 0.75, it corresponds to low. 0.75 to 1.75, this is medium. 1.75 to infinity, that is high. Okay. Next, in the same way, see, petal length has been divided into 3 ranges or the values here. See, one is 0 to 2.5, that will be considered as low. 2.5 to 5, that will be considered as medium. And then 5 to infinity, that will be considered as high. Okay. So now see here, if you look at this diagram, we can clearly say, so what is the species of the flower here? Okay, so see, setosa, it comes under this range. Okay, and then versicolor, it comes here, and then virginica comes here. So how we have grouped these species here? So see here, if the petal length and the petal width, if it is low, so this range corresponds to low for both the attributes here. 0 to 0.75, that is petal width. Okay, this is low, and 0 to 2.5, this is also low. So if the petal length and the petal width, if they are low, then I can classify or predict this species of the flower as setosa. Suppose if the petal length and the petal width, if they are medium. So see here, if you observe the range of this okay group, so petal length is medium because it lies in 2.5 to 5. So it is medium. And petal width is 0.75 to 1.75. It is also medium. So if the petal width and the petal length, if they are medium, then that species will be considered as versicle. And then if the petal length and the petal width, if they are high, high means, see, if, petal length is 5 to 7, that is high here. Okay, and then petal width 1.7 to 2.5, again it is high. So high means it stands for virginica. So this is one of the example, see, where we are predicting the species of a flower, see, based on the given data set. Okay. So now coming to the second, that is data mining task, that is association analysis. Okay. See, association analysis, see, just if you look at this name, you can understand it. Association. See, association is nothing but some kind of a relationship. Okay. So this association analysis, see, it is used to find the patterns here that are going to describe the strongly associated features in the data. See, if 2 or more features, if they are strongly related with each other, so among those features, if you want to find any kind of patterns here, that can be found with the help of association analysis. See, regarding association analysis, I will study in detail in the third module. Okay, just try to understand this. Association analysis, it will be used to find the patterns here. It will be used to discover the patterns, see, that are going to describe the strongly associated features in the data. In your data set, if there are any of the strongly related features, see, those can be found with the help of association analysis. Okay. See, these discovered patterns, see, they will be represented in the form of implication rules of the feature subsets here. Okay. So see here, see, with the help of this, we can see, we will be finding the patterns here. So those patterns, they will be represented in the form of rules here. See, we can represent these in the form of rules, implication rules or the features here. Okay. So now what are the applications of association analysis? See, association analysis, as it is used to find the group of objects here which are having the similar features. Okay, so normally it will be used in a medical field to find the groups of genes that have got the related functionality. If two or more genes, if they are related to each other in the functionality, they can be found with the help of association analysis. Or it will be used to identify the web pages that are accessed together. If two or more web pages, if they are used together, they can be found with the help of where that is association analysis. See, one example I can give. For example, if you are using e-commerce sites, that is Amazon and then Flipkart, see, there will be that is purchase web page, okay, that is related to bank, where you will be doing the payment, that and your main that is Amazon website or the Flipkart website, they will be related. We can find such kind of websites with the help of this association analysis. Or they will be used to understand the relationship between the different elements of earth climate system. So if you want to understand what is the kind of relationship that is going to exist between the different elements of the earth climate system, that can be found with the help of association analysis here. Okay, so association analysis, see, it is mainly used to discover the patterns here that are strongly related to each other. Okay, so in the data set, and these patterns, they will be represented in the form of implication rules or the features here. Then what are the applications here? See, they will be used in the medical field to find the groups of genes that are having similar functionality. Okay, and then even you can find the web pages, okay, that are accessed together or used together. And even we can use this in order to find the relationship between the different elements of the earth ecosystem. Okay, so now coming to one of the example. Okay, so how we can use the association analysis in order to find the related items here. Okay, so if you look at this example, see, this is an example for market basket analysis. See, this data, it has been collected at one of the store. Okay, so that is the e-commerce site, or even you can consider a normal that is site here. So with the help of this data, so we can find which are the related items that are bought together. Say, I told in the previous classes also, see, there will be some frequent items which will be bought together. See, for example, if you look at these that is rows or the transactions, see, bread and milk. Okay, so they are bought together many times. So just see here, in each of the transactions, if you observe bread and milk, one transaction one, and then in four and then five, they are bought together. Okay, in the same way, see, diapers and beer. So diapers and beer, see, they are bought together. So it means that, suppose if a customer is buying bread, then there is a tendency that he will also buy the milk. Okay, so in the same way, if a customer is buying diapers, then there is a tendency that he will also buy the beer. Okay, so this is a kind of that is association that is going to exist in the data. So that can be found with the help of association analysis here. Okay, so this is one example of association analysis where we'll be finding the frequent items which are bought together. So this is the second data mining task. Okay, now coming to the third data mining task, that is cluster analysis. So you know what is a cluster is. So cluster is nothing but it is a group of data. Collection of data is called as a cluster. Okay, or else, for example, see, even we can create a cluster based on some characteristics here, characteristics of the people. For example, in your class, so I can create a cluster of students here based on the marks. That is, I can create 3 to 4 clusters. See, for example, if one set of people, if they got FCD, that can be treated as one cluster. Okay, and then first class students, that I can create as one cluster. Second class students, then that can be created as third cluster, and then third class students, that can be created as one cluster. That is based on the features. Here I am grouping the objects here. So in the same way, see, in case of cluster analysis also, see, we'll be finding the groups of closely related observations or the objects here. Okay, so we'll be grouping the objects here, okay, into clusters. See how we are going to group them. See, based on the features here, see, the observations which are belonging to the same cluster, they will be very similar to each other compared to the observations that are belonging to two different clusters. See, if you have got cluster 1 and cluster 2, See, the observations which are present in the same cluster, cluster 1, they will be very similar to each other. For example, if you got the FCD students group, then all these students, they will be having marks that is above FCD, that is above 70%. Okay. And the students which are present in the first class, they will be having marks above, that is first class, 60 plus marks. Okay. So they will be more similar to each other, which are present in the same cluster compared to the two different objects which are present in different clusters. See, for example, if I consider one student in FCD cluster and one student in first class cluster, they will not be similar here. Marks will be different. Okay, they will be dissimilar compared to each other here. So with the help of cluster analysis, say we will be finding the group of closely related observations here, and the observations that belong to the same cluster are more similar to each other than the observations that belong to other cluster. See, the observations which are present in the same cluster, they will be very similar to each other compared to the observations that belong to the other clusters here. Okay. Then what are the applications of cluster analysis, where we are going to use this? See, cluster analysis, they can be used to find a group of related customers here. Okay. So if you want to find a group of customers, okay, so they are going to buy same kind of products, that we can find with the help of cluster analysis here. Okay. Or in order to find the areas of ocean that have got significant impact on the Earth's climate system. Okay, so if you want to find a set of areas which are going to affect the Earth's climate system, okay, that we can find with the help of cluster analysis. Sorry, this one is not association analysis, it is cluster analysis here. Okay, that we can find with the help of cluster analysis. Okay, and then it can be used to even compress the data also. Okay, so these are the, that is applications of cluster analysis. Okay, so cluster analysis, it will be used to find a group of closely related observations, and the observations that are present in the same cluster, they will be very similar to each other compared to observations that belong to other clusters. Then what are the applications of cluster analysis here? They can be used to find a group of related customers here. And then in order to find the areas of the ocean that are going to affect the Earth's climate, that we can find, or even it can be used as a method for compressing the data. Okay. So now coming to the example, so see here we have got one of the example for clustering here. See, we are performing the document clustering here. In this, see, we have got a collection of news articles here. See, and each article contains two pairs here, that is word and the frequency of that word. For example, this dollar, okay, in the article number 1, it is going to appear one time, and then industry, this word is going to appear 4 times in the article 1. So that is a word comma count pair we have stored here. Okay, so now the thing is, say I want to divide this data into two clusters here. So if you look at the that is words which are present in the cluster, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, that is dollar, industry, country, market, industry, market, jobless, okay, forecast, and then market. See, all these things, they are related to economy. So I can group this first 4 articles as the economy cluster. Okay, that is, they are related to economy of a country, so they can be grouped as economy cluster. Okay, in the same way, the articles 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if you look at the words here, that is patient, symptom, drug, health, okay, pharmaceutical company, and then health, patient. See, all these things, they are related to that is health field. Okay, so I can group this as one more cluster. Okay, that can be grouped as the cluster related to healthcare. Okay. So this is one of the example of that is clustering, where we have used clustering to group the documents here. So now coming to the last, that is data mining task here, that is anomaly detection. See, in case of anomaly detection, see, we will be identifying the observations, okay, whose characteristics are completely different from the rest of the data. Okay, so anomalies, just like their observations here. These observations, see, they will be having the features. Okay, they are not going to match with the remaining observations. Okay, those that is the characteristics of these observations, they will be completely different compared to the rest of the data. Okay, so with the help of anomaly detection, see, we'll be identifying the observations here whose characteristics will be completely different compared to the rest of the data here. Okay, so these observations, see, they are called as anomalies or the outliers. Okay, then what is the application of using this anomaly detection? See, with the help of anomaly detection, see, we can find the fraud that is related to credit card, or we can find the network intrusions, and if there are any of the unusual patterns of the disease or in the ecosystem disturbances that we can find with the help of, that is, anomaly detection. See, anomaly detection, see, it can be used in order to find if there are any kind of frauds in the ATMs or the credit cards, or in order to find network intrusion, that is hacking. In order to find that, we can use that. And then unusual patterns of disease, if you have got any new kind of disease, based on the patterns we can find that. Or if there are any of the disturbances in the ecosystem, even that also we can find it. Okay, so I'll give you one example of that is credit card fraud detection. See, credit card companies, what they are going to do is they will be maintaining the details of their customers, that is personal information of the customers, like credit limit, and then age, income, and the address. They will be maintaining these details, that is how much amount of credit they have withdrawn. Okay, and then age, and then annual income, and the address. See, in order to find the fraud here, what they are going to maintain is, see, they will be maintaining a legitimate transactions here. See, legitimate transactions are regular transactions, okay, in which we'll be having certain amount here that is not going to exceed. See, that will be done by the legitimate users. Day to day, that is transactions that is done by the customers. See, that will be maintained in a legitimate transactions list. Okay. So now, in order to detect a fraud, what they are going to do is they are going to compare a new transaction, okay, that is above some threshold of amount. See, for example, see, if a customer is buying any kind of product in online or outside, say we'll be using a credit card. See, in the legitimate transactions, see, normally you'll be having some limit like 5,000, 10,000. Okay, that kind of a amount, okay, that will be withdrawn with the help of that is a credit card in the normal transactions. See, suppose if there is any transaction that is above this threshold, for example, one day, okay, so there is some fraud. Okay, that person is trying to withdraw around 80,000 or 1 lakh. Okay, so he's performing some kind of transaction that is above some threshold here. So that is one kind of a fraud here. Okay, so in order to find that, see, these that is credit card companies, see, they will be comparing the normal transactions with such kind of fraud here. Suppose if the that is amount withdrawn, if it is above some threshold, okay, that will be informed to the customers, okay, so that they can lodge a complaint. Okay, so that is one kind of a application of anomaly detection here. Okay, so in case of anomaly detection, they will be identifying the observations here, see, whose characteristics are completely different compared to the rest of the data. Okay, so and these anomalies, okay, so these observations, see, they will be called as anomalies here. Okay, so see, I will give you an example. See, for example, see, in order to identify whether a person is a normal person or not, okay, so that is also one kind of anomaly. Okay, so that is based on the that is features of the person. So I can classify whether that person is a normal person or he's mad person. Okay, so that is also one kind of application of anomaly detection. Okay, so these are the four main tasks, okay, that are related to the data mining. Okay, so next topic, so I will discuss in the next class. Okay, so we shall discuss that in the next class. Okay, now we are left with only that is 2 minutes now. Okay, so I have taken your attendance. Okay, so now you can log out. See, suppose if you have got any doubts, you can ask me in the next class. Okay, so now log out.